Good afternoon, everyone. The time now is 9:27 p.m. And this begins our business meeting. Thank you for being here, council members. I'll start by firstly welcoming each of you and do a roll call. Barbara Williams. I know she's here, but she's trying to log in from the other computer. Oh, there you are. Perfect. Elena Aminover.
Here.
Erica Cooper.
Present.
Andy Miras King. Not excused.
Working.
Robert Tamayev.
Here.
Ted Chang.
Here.
Micah Morrison.
Here.
Howard Pollock.
Present.
Rajwinder Kaur.
Yes.
Great. And then Vijay Ramjan, I'm here. So thank you all again for being here in this meeting. I'm just pulling up the agenda here really quickly. Here it is. So in terms of the agenda, I'm just getting to my phone, guys. I'm sorry. My first time using my phone for this meeting. Can you put the agenda on the chat, please, Crystal? I'm sorry. I apologize.
Yeah, chat was disabled.
Yeah.
Okay, no. So can you email it to me really quickly? I'm so sorry.
Yeah, no problem.
Did you send it to Rajwinder just now? Oh, you can.
Yeah, I'll send it to the both. Huh?
You can just read the list of items to me, please. Read the first item on the agenda for the business meeting.
Okay, so the first thing we have is the approval of minutes.
Great. So can everyone, did everyone review the minutes? Was it sent out?
Yes.
Good. Does anyone, did we approve the minutes of the last meeting? Anyone not approve? Going once? Going
Which
twice?
meeting, just we have to be specific, which meeting minutes are we doing right now?
That is for August
6th.
2020. August 6th, 2020.
August 6th, okay.
I was not there at time.
Okay, so does anyone not approve? Okay, so I guess I will just guess this is approved by everybody because no one disapproved. Great, thank you. Minutes approved. What's the next item on the agenda, please, Crystal?
Treasurer's report.
Treasurer's report. He is not here today.
Treasurer's MIA.
MIA. The report is MIA. Hope the money is still here, right? The money is not MIA.
Nobody's
the money is
spending
not
anything.
MIA.
We
money is
can't
not
spend
MIA.
it. We try.
DOE will never let that happen. All right. So as we know, Crystal, can you just give us a quick update in terms of the budget went through? It's in there. Can you just give us a quick update, please?
Yeah, as far as the budget goes, we still have our $25,000. I know that it was discussed and brought up about possibly donating some of our funds to any organizations or things of that nature, just due to the fact that in COVID, you know, a lot of the money we would have spent prior was probably not going to be spent. So we're still in the process of looking into that, seeing if that's possible and what institutions or what have you that we would be donating to. So that's to come.
Okay.
I'll follow up.
Great. Thank you so much. What's next, please?
Old business.
Old business. Does anyone have any old business to bring up? I think the last time we resolved a lot of things on the meeting, on the executive session, and we are moving forward. At this point, anyone has any other old business? Okay, thank you. At this point, Crystal, is it time for Micah's resolution?
Well, next we had new business.
Yeah, we'll do new business at the end. At the end,
Okay.
we'll do new business.
So then,
Well, we'll do Micah, that will take a discussion, and then
Yeah.
we'll do new business and agenda items, okay?
sure. Okay.
Very well. Okay, so Micah, the floor is yours, sir.
So thank you. I think I need about 5 minutes. I'll be as quick as possible.
Go for it.
I apologize for raising this whole issue. You know, 4 months ago in February, when the pandemic hit, we were told the WXY that everybody was going to pause. We're going to wait, and for 3 months, nothing really happened. And as you know, I was an early supporter of the process. I publicly supported the diversity process, but I had reservations, and I had reservations about WXY and what would happen. And I said, if I concluded that, or I saw indications that the process was rigged, I was going to, get back into this. Well, 2 months ago, Howard reported to us that some sort of conversations were underway, either about a contract extension or a contract renewal. And I found that troubling, and I said that at the time. I did reach out to sources at DOE and people who were involved in this, and they did confirm that something was going on. Nobody knew quite what. And prior to that, I had launched Freedom of Information Act requests under New York State Freedom of Information law to find out more about WXY and what was going on. Because when I called WXY and asked them, they wouldn't tell me anything. And so after Howard's report, I hadn't done anything because I felt our house is on fire, as I said earlier in the meeting. Let's deal with the pandemic. Everybody said, seems okay. WXY will wait, diversity process will wait, because I disagree with the people in the meeting, and I do believe there should be a public discussion of this, but I disagree with the people in the meeting who said, well, you can walk and chew gum at the same time. This is not walking, this is not chewing gum. This is the greatest crisis to ever face the New York City Education Department. And I think that we know how much effort went in to diversity planning, and we know how much it distracts DOE and others. So I felt it was a very distracting thing, and it should be paused. So I started my research again. I pressed on the Freedom of Information request. I got some responses, and I concluded that there is inappropriate pressure on WXY to reach certain conclusions, and I'll elaborate that. In addition, the pandemic has created a state of crisis in the city and wide budget cuts at the Department of Education. So the problems with WXY plus the pandemic has led me to offer a resolution, and basically the resolution is A, let's cease funding of WXY, and I will tell you why. And B, let's initiate a 1-year pause in the diversity planning process. In 1 year, I propose that we start over. We build a more responsive, more inclusive, creative diversity planning process, because we all knew there were problems and people felt excluded. So I'd like to briefly share with the committee some of my findings. I'll give the resolution, then we can discuss it. So my findings, both the facts and my findings in the research, we know that the New York City Department of Education is facing more than $700 million in budget cuts this year. We know that New York City schools and students face an unprecedented emergency in the COVID-19 virus. My research, using the New York Freedom of Information Law and other sources, has found that in total, from city agencies, the WXY Group and its parent company, Claire White's Architects, doing business as WXY Architecture and Urban Design, has, since 2011, over $19 million in city contracts. Now, I feel that's relevant. That's $19 million to WXY and its parent company since 2011. Now, I must caution that these are preliminary figures. They're likely to be revised as my investigation continues. But what is clear, and I will show you guys, that many, many millions of dollars are in play with WXY and the city. I'm going to give you a few examples I have documentation on. For instance, in January 2016, the diversity planning contract for $900,000. In 2011, the East River Blueway Trail with the Manhattan Borough President for $453,000. In 2012, renovations to the Jefferson Market Library downtown for $3.4 million. In 2015, repairs to Queensboro Hall parking garage, $635,000. In 2016, a contract from the City of New York for, quote, generic architecture and engineering design, a lump sum payment of $4 million. In 2017, renovations to a children's services facility, $623,000. And in 2019, a 2-year renewal contract with the Parks Department for $3 million. That's a total of $19,011,000. Now, I note in particular that the $900,000 consultant contract, which I've obtained the contract, with the New York City Economic Development Corporation, which underlies the funding of the diversity planning process, this contract, I read it through, it does not mention the words education or diversity. Rather, it notes sweeping, quote, urban planning and design services for, quote, all 5 boroughs of the city on an on-call, as-needed basis. The contract notes that WXY founder Claire Weitz will be paid $300 an hour, and WXY managing principal Adam Lubinsky will be paid $84 an hour. Now, this contract, which underlies the diversity planning process, expired on May 31st. It's done. It had a 2-year contract with two 1-year extensions built in. It's done. I should further note, even though the contract and the authorizations did not mention diversity or education, much of this is not sinister, and I'm not saying that. It's simply business as usual. And the panel for education policy did spell out WXY's diversity planning duties. Now, my point is, Claire Weitz and WXY may be very good at what they do, but until recent years, they did nothing related to education or diversity. They were and are urban planners, and apparently they're very good ones. But my point is they're beholden to the city of New York. They have $19 million in city contracts. That clearly puts pressure on WXY to come up with a diversity program that its financial masters want. That's just human nature. Again, all these contracts may be quite legitimate. And after we finish the investigation, it may turn out to be more like 13 million or 23 million. But the basic numbers are in and confirmed, and that's why I wanted to report to the CEC. And when your boss, in effect the city, in effect the de Blasio administration, and in this case, the plans laid out in the School Diversity Advisory Group report, and largely endorsed by de Blasio, when your boss is looking over your shoulder, you're going to be under tremendous pressure to come up with the solutions that your boss wants. So today, the city and the Department of Education face tremendous budget cuts. Today, sailing our schools and our kids and our city through the pandemic demands our entire attention as a community and a city. And today, we know that the WXY process, as it unfolded late last year and early this year, divided our community and caused strife and controversy. So all I'm saying in my resolution proposing to folks is let's start over. Let's not renew the WXY contract. Let's pause for a year, get through the pandemic. And in 1 year, in September 2021, I propose the CEC, we gather the community and other concerned parties, including Dr. Pate and Dr. Govia, and we design a more new inclusive process. So that's my proposal. I'd be happy to read the resolution. I don't know if Crystal wants to put it up. Do you want me to read it, or you want to put it up, Crystal?
Yes, please. Can you please read out the resolution, please?
Sure.
Yes,
I'll read the resolution, and Crystal will put it up for you guys. The resolution is resolution calling on...
Alina, can you...
One second, let her put it up, please.
Sure.
Thanks, Monica.
You should have access. Do you not?
Here we go.
Got it? Thank you.
Can you guys see?
1 second, it's loading.
All right.
There it is. Can you just make it larger, please?
Yep, I see it. Perfect.
And we can scroll down as he reads.
You want me to read it?
Yes, please.
Resolution. Resolution calling on the New York City Department of Education to not renew or extend funding for WXY Architecture plus Urban Design and Claire Weitz Architects in the matter of the diversity planning process and the School Diversity Grant Program, and to pause the diversity planning process in its entirety for 1 year. Whereas unprecedented challenges posed by the COVID-19 virus to New York City schools and students have led to more than $700 million in budget cuts to the Department of Education. Whereas prior to the onset of the pandemic, the District 28 diversity planning process, as led by WXY Architecture and Urban Design and its parent company, Claire Weiss Architects, was the subject of controversy. Whereas some members of the D28 community felt excluded or troubled by the diversity planning process as led by WXY, whereas the current WXY diversity planning contract has expired. Therefore, be it resolved, the D28 Community Education Council calls on the Department of Education to not renew in any form the diversity planning contract or related funding with WXY, misspelled it, or its parent company, Claire Weiss Architecture. Therefore, be it resolved, the D28 Community Education Council calls for a 1-year pause in the diversity planning process until the city gets through the worst of the pandemic. Therefore, be it further resolved that in 1 year, on September 2021, the D28 CEC and relevant agencies will begin to host discussions on creating a new, more inclusive diversity planning process. So that's my proposal. I wanted to put it forward because I'm concerned about this and I want to get this information out to the public. And I know our public, our people want to see it, and media outlets have been interested in it. And as a courtesy and as a matter of right, I wanted to present it to the CEC first, and that's what I'm doing. And thank you very much.
Thank you. Crystal, can you
Yes.
please email this to the group, please, our group, so each member can have it on their screen if you want to pull it up and look at it, etc. So what I'm going to do now at this point is, so we're not making a motion. You didn't call for a motion right now to voters yet, right?
No.
Now we can have a discussion. Is that okay with you?
Yes.
So I want to open up the floor. It's now 9:44. Let's get everyone a chance to give get the discussion going. Get an input in there, and then we can then you can make a motion. Okay, Micah?
Right.
Fair enough. So guys, the board is open. The floor is open now. Please just be mindful that others will need to speak. It's 9:45 p.m. So just keep that in mind. So go for it. I'll start. I thank you, Michael, for bringing this up to the forefront. Me personally, I think we as a CEC have always led where we have included the public and get public consensus on what we think and what we believe in. I see that your letter is a lot of the things that's on your letter is hearsay. Some of them, not all of it, right? I know that you have quoted from different places. I think I would love, me personally, would like to have a public input in this discussion, and then I would personally like to have a vote on it after we have a special meeting or whatever to discuss this step over here. What I'm happy about is that we are bringing this to the forefront. We have said, and I have called from the very beginning, that we want this to be a very transparent process. Let's not repeat just what happened in the past where here it is, diversity plan, and no one knows what's happening. From the very beginning, we should have an input as parents of this district, because it's our tax money, of who's going to be hired, whose contract going to be extended, how, when, and where, and why. And the DOE should have a hearing about that so we can give input too. So thank you for bringing it up to the forefront. However, before I vote for a resolution, I would love to hear the community give us some kind of public discussion or engagement. Then I can vote on something like this. I'm done.
Do you want me to wait till everybody talks, or do you want me to respond one
Yeah,
more?
I think let's give it. I think it'll just go longer and longer, right? But I think you have stated your resolution, so you have stated your point. You know what I'm saying? So I think at this point it's for us to really give our piece of how we feel about it.
Sure.
Fair enough. Okay.
Yeah.
Somebody else, go on. Go ahead. So I'll ask: is there anybody else who want to speak on this before we go to a vote?
Yeah, so
Go ahead.
First of all,
That was Robert and then Erica.
thanks. So first of all, my name is missing from the resolution altogether. Putting that aside,
That's one.
look, I think, and you know, this has been an issue with many of our meetings, right? We need to focus on what is pressing right now. Unfortunately, this whole thing, I vote, well, I'm not gonna vote, but I'm okay with voting only simply because I think we need to focus on, right, on what's important right now, which is educating our children through this year, which is a disaster as far as I'm concerned. We're gonna see how that goes. Hopefully it won't be a disaster, but this is exactly right. The whole meeting got, you know, we just spoke about this earlier, right? We were hoping that we would focus on the schools and all of that, but instead, right, this got in the way. So if we can table this for a year so that we can, everyone's energy can go where it needs to go, and then maybe at the same time, you know, put a little bit more power or more work into the committee, you guys, the equity committee that we have, where, you know, Ted's leading that, right? So then that way we know that we're not, so that's not a sign to the people that, oh yeah, we don't want this, so we're just using this as a way to postpone, but rather that we're truly doing this for a year, because this is not the year for that, right? I don't see how we can engage parents with the pandemic going on, right? I don't see how anything that X, Y, and Z plan to do is at all possible. And so, right now, meaning because they cannot engage the parents appropriately. And so to have it in the background for them to get potentially indefinite funding or funding over the next 3-5 years, I agree that can't happen right now. Any funding we have should go, especially, you know, there's a lot of like, right, the southern schools, they're hit the hardest. They need more funding, right? Yes, I can buy my daughter and, you know, maybe another kid in her class school supplies. Maybe your parents in the South can't do that. So I'd rather use that funding for that and know that every child in the district is getting educated this year, so that we don't have anyone falling behind for 5 years because, well, we're hoping for that's gonna come. So that's my line of thinking.
Thank you. Erica?
Yes, hi. Michael, first, I just want to applaud you for putting together that. It was a great job, and thank you for that. And I feel if nothing is done, then it's still going to continue. WXY is going to continue. I mean, something needs to be done or said in order to stop it from continuing, because they have a contract. It's out there. Yes, it expired, but we don't know what's being done on the other side, right? So thank you again, Michael, for bringing this forward. That's it.
Thank you. And I wanted to say, Erica, your voice during the meeting, 1 minute, sounded amazing. It sounded like a recorded piece of voiceover.
I agree.
Where
It was
like
perfect.
it was like Zoom, like
Absolutely.
1 minute. It was
Yes.
amazing. Good job. Okay, who else wants to go ahead?
I'd like to say something.
Yes, Howard.
As the person closest to the working group, you know, I agree with Robert. The most important thing we have to consider is the safety of our children, teachers, administrators in the schools. There's no bargaining with that. That has to come first. Also, I'm not going to disparage the importance of equity in our district. And there's a lot we don't know. We don't know what kind of discussion the DOE and WXY had. We don't know if indeed the DOE is going to proceed with WXY as the contracting agent for the diversity process. The only things we know is that they've been talking. There's a lot of ambiguity here. We need to make sure the DOE is on record with what they plan to do. You know, I don't want to be sidetracked. I don't want the CEC to be sidetracked. I don't want the CEC to be put on record right now because of the ambiguity that exists with regard to this very serious issue. I suggest, with all due respect, that we send a letter to DOE asking definitively, are they going to start up the diversity plan again? If so, are they going to hire WXY, and when do they plan to do it? I'd like the DOE on record in writing, not a verbal phone call, not hearsay, not, oh, it's a really big conference call and this is what we're going to do. I want something in writing. And then once we have that, and we give them a certain amount of time to reply, so it's timely. Then I think perhaps a community discussion as per VJ's point about Micah's very important resolution should be had. But first, I think we ought to get them on record. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Yes.
I guess, oh, go ahead.
So Elena, then Ted.
Sure, thank you. So again, like, thank you so much, Micah. That was a lot of work and a lot of valuable time of yours that was put into that, even that letter alone. From my perspective, I think we definitely have a lot of big issues to address this year. Quality of education is one of them. I know I have personally have had several parents reach out to me. I mean, I have not seen my kids for several days because I have parents calling me, asking me about remote learning and what is it going to look like and the training that the teachers need and the lack of funding to do more training even for parents. How are we going to spend money on something at this time, additional money, where even original WXY plan was said that this is one grant and one grant only for research or whatever that was. And once it's gone, it's gone. We did not apply for a follow-up. Plus, we don't have the money to spend to begin with on, you know, there's so much more that the students need, whether it's laptops, supplies, cleaning supplies, the list goes on and on and on. I think we need to worry about safety, making sure the thermometers are available, making sure that our kids get quality of education so we don't basically be behind. I'm worried about being acceptance to colleges and lack of education that our kids are going to be getting this year if comparing it to last year. So there's definitely bigger fish to fry. We are not recommending here to totally forgetting about it. You know, equity and diversity is definitely important and we're here to support it. But right now, amongst everything that's going on, we need to focus on more higher priority items. That's just my
Ted
take.
Chang.
So, I mean, I guess there's a lot of stuff going on here. One thing is, you know, this year we haven't passed a resolution. And just in terms of, you know, general process, like from what I know of other districts, a lot of them do resolutions by first hearing them in committee and having a more of a deliberative process, and then after it goes to committee, then it might come to a business meeting if it makes sense to do it at that point. And then within that, you know, and we just kind of, it seems like, you know, we haven't really been doing that whole thing yet. But, you know, the CECs that I've seen, you know, there's a whole process that they have sort of practiced and mastered in terms of how to do that. And so if we are going to go down this route, I just think that, like, this is a really, you know, hot button thing. And you know, like, you know, I mean, these, you know, other CECs, they've worked out just various procedures, like how are they going to edit the resolution? You know, most resolutions don't just get passed or voted down. They usually, people propose edits, and we just haven't really even come up with a process for that yet. So we're a little bit concerned about, you know, taking just, which is something that's clearly a hot football, and then just basically we have no process for even dealing with it. You know, I mean, so that's a concern of mine. You know, definitely there's the concern of some of the parents that we heard tonight that, you know, basically they had no notice of this, and I think that's a pretty valid concern, especially when the claim being made here is that you know, there are community engagement issues and people want community engagement, and yet we're not really, you know, we didn't even give parents notice of this resolution. So I'm a little bit, it just seems like this is kind of a tough way to start doing a resolution in our district. I do think that, you know, the overall tone, well, you know, I appreciate the effort that you put into this, Micah. I do think that the overall tone really centers, you know, certain voices in the district, and I think it might be missing, you know, the entire point of the diversity planning process itself is to hear the voices of the district, and I'm not sure that even this resolution is really doing that, because by centering, you know, sort of the parts of the district that are not happy with diversity planning. You know, I just wonder how the rest of the district would feel about this resolution. You know, because I do think there are people who are looking, who fully embrace the value of diversity planning, and I just, yeah, I don't know that their voices are in this resolution. So I don't know, I just think that we, for a lot of reasons, you know, if we go down this route, we have to really do a proper resolution, and basically it's going to take, I mean, I don't think we could even do it in this meeting. We'd have to spend probably multiple meetings to do this, to get it to the point where we could actually agree on something to vote on. And the whole point of what a lot of people are saying is that this whole thing is a big, there's you know, we couldn't even have a meeting about school reopening like a week before school reopening, and I think this is going to further get us talking about stuff that, you know, I mean, I just wanted to hear more tonight about what parents thought about reopening, and unfortunately that didn't happen. So I just wonder if this is the most, you know, productive use of our time, because at the end of the day, you know, we haven't really done the basic due diligence to just ask, you know, what's the plan? I mean, I guess I kind of agree with the sentiment that, like, why didn't we just ask? You know, like, can't we just ask? Why do we have to go through why do we spend multiple meetings on resolutions when we could just probably just ask DOE and get the answer, or get some semblance of an answer? So those are my general thoughts.
Thank you.
I have something to say.
Barbara?
Thank you, VJ. Even though I agree with some and disagree with others, I don't think this is a subject for us to just sweep under the rug. Diversity is very important. But being said that, WXY was paid to do a job, and we should hold WXY and DOE accountable for that job being done. And even though I agree that WXY should not get any more money, because I agree that they shouldn't have gotten the money in the first place that they got, we should hold them accountable and let them do the job that they was set out to do. And then, but I agree that this is not a subject for us to speak about right now, because I'm worried about my kids being tested in schools. I'm worried about my kid not going to school and may not make it because remote learning is not for him. And these are things that we need to be talking about right now, and not talking about the diversity plan, and if there's no plan or whatever WXY is doing. But at the same time, we need to address it head on. We can't sweep it under the rug and just forget about it. And Micah's resolution has to be listened to and talked about, but this is just not the moment for that.
Then we have, thank you, Barbara. Rajwinder?
Yes. Yeah, what I think, I don't disagree with Micah, or I don't disagree with Robert also. What I think is, yeah, Micah is working hard for the long-term precision, you know. The diversity is going to last for long. So that's what he's working upon. But at the same time, what the priority is going on is the safety of the kids. Come what may, everybody wants the safety of the kids and their learning part. So the other thing, they are like, what is a remote learning? What's a blending learning? What they're gonna do on that? So nobody's concentrating on the diversity plan, which Micah is working hard on it. So I do agree with him that we have to concentrate on that also, but the priority is only and only all the parents are the safety of their kids. That's it.
Okay, thank you so much. So we have heard everybody. Micah, thank you for bringing this to the forefront. So I guess at this point, what we can do, a lot of points was brought up here. Did I leave anyone out? No, right? Good. What we could do at this point is just, one second, let me close this over and move this over. We can talk about process, right? Because as Ted mentioned before, Ted, the one thing I would say is we have to form our process as a CEC, right? I think we can learn from other CECs how they do things. That's great. But we have a lot of things that we do as amazing that other CECs don't do. So that's great. So I think whatever knowledge we have from other processes, we can take that in there. And this is exactly what this first resolution we ever have that we're writing as a council, that we can talk about process. Do we take this now and say, hey, we suggest these edits. We suggest it goes through the equity committee and then come back. Do we have this now through a public discussion, then vote, right? This is what this means. This is what this is coming up today. So what we decide here, we can all suggest, and if Micah makes a motion, when we have to vote on that motion. But this is what this is about. I think Micah's listening to work with the council to get something happen. So Micah, I would like to just respond. I know we all said a lot of things. So I'll give you a few minutes as a respond. Yeah?
Yeah. Let me respond. I think that, the thing about the process, in general, I feel you don't want to get bogged down in a process. And that if the point is, I think, as Erica and Robert made, if we don't do something now, the danger is that DOE and WXY are going to come to some agreement. They're going to slip it through. The money's going to be allocated. The deal's going to be done. And that's it. On the other hand, I did really like Howard's idea of sending them a letter. Now, I should tell you, I've called them, I've sent them emails, I've talked to people. I didn't get a straight answer, but I'm asking as one member of the CEC, so it's a little different thing. But if we do that, here's my problem. If we do that, and if we start, having, and I completely support a public discussion. On the other hand, I really think we should get past this and one way or the other tonight and move on. So, ultimately, I think my inclination is to ask for a vote tonight.
Yes,
Then one way or other, it's a done deal. And either it rises or it falls. And if it falls, maybe then you say, okay, we can send a letter or whatever. But we don't have to say that we're going to take up valuable time, when our kids are in the middle of a pandemic with an ongoing public debate about it. So I would like, even though I have some reservations and I respect my colleague's opinion, I would like to move this to a vote.
Okay, so make the motion.
I'd like to make a motion to that we adopt the resolution as written.
I'll second.
Okay.
I guess at this stage, we would make, I don't know if you want to do it by motion, but we probably, I would like to change the language if we're going to try to pass a resolution.
Well, I'd like to, my motion, which seconded by Robert, is to adopt the motion as written.
It's on the floor, Ted.
I'm sorry?
The motion's on the floor now.
Yeah, it's on the floor already. So he made the motion and Robert seconded. So now at this point, we have to vote. And the thing is this, right? So we all had a chance to speak what we said. This is on the record, and then we also do what we have to say here, right? So now we have to get 6 votes, right, to pass the resolution. Bibi, can you confirm that with me, please?
Correct.
Thank you. So we have to get 6 votes to move the resolution there. I guess at this point, I want to ask Micah if he can pull back your resolution, your motion, and let's have a little bit more discussion about this as among us CEC members.
Yes, that's okay.
Bibi, can we do that?
Yes, you can absolutely do that.
Thank you.
If you would allow me
Yes.
a minute.
Go ahead.
I know this is the first time you're discussing a resolution, right?
Yes.
And more so, I would have to be inclined to second some of the things Ted mentioned, right? And I'm not talking about processes. I'm talking about making sure that as a council, you are one voice when you're making a vote, sort of like a resolution that you want to present to the public. So in order to put a resolution to the floor, one would say, okay, I have an opinion, I'd like to do this. You want to get buy-in, and you want to encourage having a group discussion, right? You want to have a committee discussion. So Micah, I think this is fabulous and this is great. And it's a lot of thought that you put into doing the resolution. But if I would recommend as your liaison, I would say that when you're putting the resolution together, those thoughts that you're putting on paper, if you share that with the group, and then they might be more inclined to say, okay, let's put this together, because you're showing evidence of the process. And then when you put forward for a vote like this, you're more likely to have 6 votes.
BB, thank you, and I hear
Yeah.
you. I did share it with the group a week ago. Told them I was doing this, and I put this language in. Maybe folks didn't realize that I was actually meaning to propose a resolution, but I did try to be transparent and get it out.
Yeah.
And in most cases, I would say yes, it's fine for a discussion, but the point is we have so many other things to do. You know, I don't. I mean, do we really want to start talking about this week after week? Do we want to involve the public, or do we want to say, Micah, you know, either we like it or we don't, and we'll deal with the public from there.
But your goal is to have, the goal is to have 6 votes.
Correct.
So in order to have the 6 votes, you have to make a case. So
Correct.
that, yeah.
And I've made my case, and whether I get 6 or not, you know, the other thing is that, again, I want this to be sort of a warning shot across the bow, because I'm a journalist. I'm going to publish these findings. I don't know where, but you know, and VJ, you open up saying, well, you know, this is hearsay. No, you know, I mean, maybe part of the resolution when I said the community is unhappy, I mean, that's pretty clear. But I've documented, I have these documents now. You know, I have the contract. I have the tasking memo. If you're making $10 to $20 million and your boss lets you know you want something, you're gonna do it. So my only concern is, I have 2 concerns: that we debate this, that we're gonna be debating this endlessly, or that, you know, next week DOE and WXY say, oh, you know, we're gonna wait 6 months and we got another 20, you know, another 5 million. Now, do I think they're gonna do that? No, but I think we need to put a warning shot across their bow.
So let's just leave 10 minutes now for, I guess, a discussion here, and then thank you for pulling back your motion. Thank you so much. I would really wish that we could have a public discussion. You know, when you said the community, right? The community's not happy with this. We heard differently tonight, right? There's both sides of the story here, and I want to make sure we have community. This is a resolution from the entire council that's going to go forward, saying that the community, as written, like you said, you want to have as written. You're saying the community feels this way, but it's not the whole community. We have very different perspectives from across the community where people feel differently about this going forward. And I know there's articles published all across, right? I feel like it's very directed the way how it's written to polarize the opinions of one side of the community, which I feel will bring our council in a situation that we don't want to be there in. I will be much more happier if we as a council would provide a special meeting, bring up the topic about this, whatever it is, and we can call it really quickly. You want it in 2 days? Let's do it in 3 days, whatever it is. And we have a discussion about this, hear public comment, and then give our council a chance to look into this and move forward with it.
Well, let me make a first couple points. First of all, I came back from vacation for this, so I'm going away for a few days. But
it's not ready tomorrow. I'm on vacation right now.
But I do hear you on transparency, and I'm willing to withdraw the motion and take the chance that some, you know, fiddle faddle happens with DOE and WXY, and I'm willing to do that and have maybe a community debate within, say, a week or 10 days.
Yeah.
But I just want to very quickly go through. I mean, you know, you guys said the tone and stuff. I mean, if you mean stop the WXY contract, yeah, that's, I mean, but that's not a tone. That's a statement of opinion. I mean, basically, I say here, we got a COVID virus. There's 700 million in budget cuts. WXY was the subject of controversy. I think it's hard to argue with that, right? Some members of the community felt excluded or troubled by the diversity plans. Really, is that a question after all the arguments we heard? So I think this is a very kind of neutral and fair resolution. I'd like to have it considered as it is, but adding Robert's name to it and correcting the spelling of WXY. But I'm willing to withdraw the motion and have a community discussion quickly. Also, though, I want to reserve, you know, the right as an American journalist to publish my findings and under my name and not as the committee.
Can I say something? If we remember the original plan that WXY put together, they said that they want to have community engagement meetings every month with every school, with every community, with engaging parents, engaging teachers, representatives from XYZ, doesn't matter. At this point in time, with them wanting to be doing it on site in different schools, now we all remote. How engaging and collaborative are these going to be through Zoom, with ability not to have breakout discussions and workshops and whiteboarding? They were talking about using Post-it notes and using all of these facilitation tools. It's going to be so frustrating for people who will be behind their computers at homes to do this while worrying about kids doing their homework remotely, having technology needs. It's just going to be chaotic. Why not just postpone it? We're not saying forget about it, right? All we're saying is we need to do it due diligence and do it right.
And I agree. I agree with both of you. I agree with both of you. I just feel like we need to have, we as a council need to hear from our community how we feel about this. This is something big, you know, and we are all saying that. This is a big deal, right?
I mean, we can bring it up at the October meeting, VJ. We can bring it up at the October meeting, regular meeting, but that's delaying it for another month, and hopefully there's not going to be additional money given to them.
Yeah, that's too long.
Yeah, we can have we can have.
You know,
we need 48 hours. We need 48 hours to let the public know for a special business meeting. Let's get it done next week, whatever it is, and let's get it done. I think we as a CEC has always been proud of being very engaging to our parents. We brought the DOE, we brought the WXY here to get that same transparency to our parents to answer the hard questions. So we should afford us the same treatment to our parents if we can make a decision on their behalf too.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think if we could have a meeting within a week and, you know, maybe some of the issues that, you know, for instance, the letter Howard proposed, I think is a very good idea. You know, you talk about equity though. I mean, you know, if WXY is going to do this on Zoom, that's a huge equity issue because not everybody is, you know, either has Zoom or ready for Zoom or
so many
kids are working and the kids are sick and they're remote schooling. So I'd be happy if we separate this from that. So then people who want to attend, they can attend, but they're not missing any pandemic plan.
Fair enough. Fair enough. And I support the letter that Howard is saying. Yes, let's put the letter together. Go ahead.
If I may,
yes.
I want to speak to one of Micah's points about WXY shaping the report to their master's bidding. If I'm framing the issue correctly, Micah.
That was not in my resolution. That was in my report. Yes.
In your report. At one of our working group meetings, that kind of issue was discussed, and we were assured that the results of all the community meetings, if they did not go the way the administration wanted it to go, then so be it. That's the way it would be. And I am publicly on the record saying, if the working group adopts a series of proposals that were not in line with the consensus of the community, then I, as a working group member, would publicly decry the results and publicly deny that this is what happened. And most of the folks there, I can't say all of them, I know most of the folks felt the same way, that the community's voice is the voice that matters. So I just wanted to speak to that point. This is an important issue. I'm afraid that we will be, there might be an issue of us being criticized of focusing in on this issue right now when kids are going back to school, and maybe that's what we should be talking about and having special meetings about. But I just want to leave it there. Thank you.
So we want to move on, right? So I propose the following. I propose that we do a letter, a very clear, to the point letter, asking very specific questions. has DOE and WXY began rediscussing the diversity plan? Yes or no? We want very clear questions that we're asking to get very clear responses. We could bullet the points, whatever it is. And in the meantime, we could think about the special meeting to host, to discuss this thing here, this resolution. And I think that's going to be a good route, Micah. So there's no time lost in terms of what you're trying to accomplish also. So that way we have a letter go out by this week coming up over here. You and Howard, I think you started off really well. You and Micah could start writing the letter together, send to the whole group. Yeah. We can agree on the letter, what it's asking for. Very, very, very factual, very clear. What are we asking on the record from the council? I think that's very good to ask, right? We need to know that too, because this is our district. And then we take it from there.
I don't know if you want to wait for a response or a letter. They could never get back to us.
No, either way, we send the letter out right away, and by the end of next week, we send the letter out, and then we plan to have the special discussion meeting with the whole community, and we invite that everyone come be part of that meeting and say, hey, this is what is happening, this is what we're discussing, and we see what happens.
You know, I'm okay with that, but remember, school is opening. So when do we have the special meeting? School the 16th, remote learning starts, 21st, school starts. There's going to be all kinds of issues. As a matter of just, scheduling, I'm saying.
Right. I think if this is a matter of interest for parents and they want to be there, they'll be there like we did for all of our other meetings. Yeah. Our responsibility is to provide a space for that. Okay. Our responsibility is we as a CEC, we always focus on transparency and our commitment to the parents. So if the parents need to have this discussion and have a very open space, we need to provide that space for them. If 5 shows up, we did our part.
Right.
I am just thinking of a process. I don't know if anyone else disagree or how you feel about it, but in terms of the process, letter right away. Micah, Howard drafts a letter. If anybody else wants to be part of that committee, go ahead, draft a letter, send it out to all of us here. I could do my input also. Direct to the mayor, whoever it is, to the chancellors, excuse me, we find out.
Right.
We have it on record because at least and then we have our discussion.
May I offer a suggestion?
Yes.
Okay. So is the goal here to stop the discussions or to stop a contractual agreement for the new year once the contract is expired?
Contract is already expired.
So you're thinking they're in negotiation and a new contract may be drafted? Yeah, behind closed, yeah.
Some sort of renewal or a contract. Or
okay. So before money is spent and contracts are renegotiated and contracts are signed, they have to go before the PEP for a vote.
Right.
And that has to be opened up for public comments, right? It's a public hearing and then the PEP votes. You do have a PEP representative for Queens, Deborah, I forgot, Delaham. She's from the borough president appointee in the PEP. That's also an avenue you can pursue in sending a letter, right? If you're objecting to this. That way you're highlighting this and it comes to the PEP's attention. If there's a contract to be renegotiated or a contractual agreement that has to be approved, District 28 is against it, all right? So these are other ways that you can also, amplify your voices as CEC28. But just bear in mind that all contractual agreement, before they're approved, they go before the PEP, and only the PEP has the authority to approve a contract.
What if
I guess the scenario that we've been talking about can't really happen. Like DOE can't just go behind someone's backs and just sign a contract. It just physically can't happen.
Doesn't happen. You can hear it on Twitter, or you may have a chalk beat write an article that they heard someone and there's a leak or something that somebody's in discussions. But this is government's money, right? This is federal funds. Like, you don't just take city dollars, taxpayer money, and invest it or sign a contract and not present it for the public. So there's a public hearing and then the PEP is voted. And then
but there's all this is a contract with the the New York City Economic Development Corp. BB, there's all kinds of ways to slide money around. Maybe it's not a renew, maybe it's a renewal, so they don't have to go to the. Maybe it's a tasking order of an old contract that they say is unfulfilled. So I hear you, and I respect you, but I think a letter from VJ and the board, maybe to the chancellor himself, his deputy, maybe Claire White's and WXY, very simple letter. Are there any discussions on starting the diversity planning process again? Are discussing hiring WXY in any form? A contract being negotiated? If so, what's the plan? Very simple. And we can tell our community, we can put a notice out.
Right.
Look, we are going to them. We're asking them directly, and we are planning a hearing, and we recognize that these are very tumultuous and tense times. We apologize for taking people's time away from their children and pandemic planning. But if you want to engage with us with this, we're meeting on Thursday at 7 p.m.
Oh, yeah, I'm not objecting to that. I think
just want to move this along, guys.
idea.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'll just move this along. So all in favor of that plan that Michael just put forward. We have a letter first, and then we start with a letter first, and then we plan a second special meeting to discuss this topic.
So letter first. Special meeting so the public can engage on this.
Right, and I will talk with Crystal and Michael. I'll talk with you about a special date for the special meeting.
Right.
And then we'll move forward in that direction.
Howard, I'll just shoot you a bunch of questions and you can put it in whatever form you want.
Now, wait, does anyone else want to, so wait, let's agree that this is the direction we want to go on this.
Right. Okay.
I'd rather we just vote and not spend more time on this.
Okay, so
I don't think this is gonna pass. So we might as well just do it now and let's move on.
Well, that's not his point. I mean, he wants to have it passed, right? So I think we gotta try to whatever you guys want to do. I'm just providing an option here.
All right. No, let's just do something and make it happen already.
So I propose. So I make a motion. Okay, I make a motion for the CEC28 to draft a letter to the chancellor and to the mayor's office and all those involved in possibly rehiring WXY, investigating to find out if they are having talks to renew or to move forward with the diversity planning. I propose let's have a letter to do that by end of next week.
We're gonna get a response. They're too busy right now. It's just gonna get prolonged. Let's just have a vote. Let's see where we go from here. If it doesn't pass here today, then we can have a public discussion. Sending a letter to DOE is great. We can send it out. But I don't expect any responses from them, especially during this time, because they, as they should be, are focusing on reopening schools safely right now.
Okay, so if you guys want to vote, make the motion, whatever it is, because like I said, I can just put forth what I think. If that's what you guys want to do, I can't stop you from making your motion.
Right, so I file a motion that we vote now, but unlike what Elena said, if it fails, it fails. We don't do this again in a few days. Right, this is a distraction. My whole point of wanting to vote is to remove this distraction, not to prolong it. So I make a motion to vote today, and if yes or no, and that's the end of that.
Does anyone second that?
So is the idea that we're not going to be doing, if this fails today, we're not going to be doing like letters and all kinds of future.
That's my hope. Yes.
Okay.
Well,
I'm on board with that. If we're going to vote and this is just up or down, I'm okay with that.
Okay, I second Robert's motion.
Okay, all in favor?
Of what?
All in favor of the resolution that Micah put forward?
Aye.
Micah?
Aye.
Elena?
Aye.
Howard?
You're on mute, Howard.
Howard.
I apologize. No.
Ted?
No.
Barbara?
No.
Erica?
Aye.
Rajwinder?
Aye.
Robert?
Yes.
This is just me now?
Yes.
I abstain.
How many
Hold
we
on,
got?
how many do we get?
Yeah, I don't know.
So what's the number?
Krista, what's the number?
5.
BJ, you can't be abstaining. You have to go one way or the other.
I
That's it.
abstain.
Roll the dice. That's what happened.
Welcome to Cairo.
So what's the count?
5.
5 to something.
5 yes, 3
It
no,
doesn't-
1 abstain.
So
Doesn't pass.
the motion fails. Okay.
That's it.
Now I make a motion now. I make a motion to draft a letter to the WXY, the DOE, to the whole group to to find out the status of their talks, if any, to find out about WXY and the DOE.
I second that.
Can we have a vote on that, please?
Just point of clarification. I thought
ahead.
we just said that we weren't going to continue doing a bunch of stuff after we had the
That's
vote.
not what we. That's
not
not
in the
what
motion.
That's not what we agreed.
Howard, Robert.
Or we're not
raised
going to
the-
vote on the resolution again. Now
That was
we
the
vote.
resolution.
Resolution.
Okay, the resolution. Fine.
Right. So now I'm making a motion for a letter to bring clarification of what was said at the WXY meeting for the whole board,
Okay.
for the working group, whatever it is. So all in favor of that letter?
Aye.
Aye.
Micah,
Aye.
Elena,
Can
Aye.
Ted.
Point of clarification. Like, if we're going to write a letter, is it going to be very simple and neutral, or is it going to be like lots of? I just want to know, like, do we need to have a meeting to draft the
At this
letter, or is
point-
it going to be
at this-
simple?
Yeah, fine. Fair
Good
question. At this point, Howard and Micah, and if you want to join that group too, Ted, you can be part of that group too. The three of you to write this letter, send it out to the whole group. We agree on the letter, we send it out. If by next week Friday we don't have a letter, we don't send one out.
I would like to just, to simplify it, if it's okay, I'll send my questions to Howard, and I would just trust Howard just to do it and send it to VJ, if that's all right.
Well, I want the whole group to see the letter.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, let's have group input.
Okay.
Beautiful. So Micah, yes. Elena, yes. Ted.
I mean, I want to see the letter, but yeah. I mean,
So we're agreeing to do a letter. We are voting to do a letter.
Ted.
a letter that hasn't been written. I'm okay.
You're voting
with
to do a letter, not send a letter. That's what I'm
All right,
understanding.
okay, if that's the vote to do a letter, then I'll vote yes for that.
Okay.
No.
Howard.
Yes.
Then we have Barbara.
Yeah.
Rajwinder.
Yes.
Erica.
Yes.
And is Robert.
Yeah.
VJ, yes. So we have consensus to write a letter, and you guys agree that Howard going to be the key writer of the letter,
Right.
with input from everybody else.
Right.
Send him your comments, your feedback. Howard, can you have a letter by today's Thursday? Can you have a letter to us by Tuesday, please? Tuesday of next week. Thumbs up. Good. We're moving
give
along.
Howard can we have a deadline to give Howard our input by Saturday?
Sure.
So everybody has to give it
It's
by
a
Saturday.
what I am saying is a holiday weekend, so I will see by tomorrow.
Right. Now, I have one other thing.
Go for it.
I would like the opportunity to reintroduce my resolution at a later date.
You can reintroduce any resolution
I'm
ever.
kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm done. I'm done.
I love you, Mike.
Okay.
I'm done.
Okay, let's do the
I'm
letter.
done.
I also, but I think we should bring this up again at our next meeting when we get the findings reported back from WXY DOE.
Yeah.
I will also write emails, and I will CC all of you to those who, like Sadie Campo Amor and all these people in there, are waiting a response about this. So that way it's transparent, it's clear, and if they're not responding to us, we tell the community we're not getting a response. Either way,
yeah.
so we have it on record.
And may I suggest you may want to send a registered letter to the chancellor.
We'll send however you want us to send it. Let's do this. Let's do it the way we gotta do it. It's just 10:31 right now.
Okay. All right.
Okay, we have to move to anything else? New business. New business, anyone? Okay, so at this point in time, I would like to adjourn this meeting. It's now 10:31.
No, VJ.
I didn't hear you. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, VJ. There was an item put on the I was waiting for Crystal to say it, but she didn't. But there was
I
an item
apologize.
that was put on the agenda this week. Krista, Erica
Yeah.
sent out the email for an item to be put on the agenda. Was that not put on the agenda?
That would be new business because the agenda was made already. So it'll be new business. So you can bring it up, go for it.
All right. So, me as a CEC member, I feel like, how should I put it? Like I can't really in prospect to the diversity working group, WXY, what's going on. I feel like there was an election run and Howard and myself was chosen to represent CEC28 on that diversity group.
Right.
I feel like I can't truly represent my constituents or come up with anything because of the fact that I'm not being looped in on what's going on. If nothing is said, but anything that was said in reference to WXY, I don't hear about it. I don't get emails. I don't get anything. And I feel like as a CEC member, I can't represent my constituents and be transparent because I'm not being get on transparency myself. And if the opportunity comes up tomorrow for me to jump in, if Howard can't go, I can't go in a meeting with WXY and say anything because I don't know anything.
Got you. So from what I recall, Howard was the main person. You were the alternate. So from what I understood, how the process worked was that when Howard cannot go to the meeting, you would. But I see what you're saying, because if you're in the dark, what would you go to the meeting doing? Because you don't know what's going on. So I think one solution I can offer is that Howard, you whenever we enter a meeting, or you enter a meeting with WXY or anything to do with diversity planning, that Barbara and you have a meeting right after that meeting, so that way she is looped in. And also to possibly make a request, and I can make a request also, Barbara, on your behalf, that you be CC'd on all these emails so that you're aware of what's happening. Is that an okay solution to start with?
Yeah, that's all I'm asking, just to be looped in case if something happened and I have to step in. I know
makes a lot of sense. Howard, what do you think?
Sorry, I had to unmute. I remember having conversations with Barbara about what happened at our meetings. Maybe not all the meetings, but I do remember briefing Barbara on some of the meetings. Some of the meetings were so procedural that really nothing.
I never got briefings on Howard, to be honest.
I do remember chatting with you about some of it.
And that was before the pandemic.
Yeah. Okay. Before the pandemic.
Yes.
Absolutely. There was only one item. There was a citywide diversity virtual meeting. And that's the one that Simone was referencing during our calendar meeting. VJ's right. I'm just going to either you're BCC'd or I'll just forward you the emails from now on, because that's the right thing to do.
I don't want to BCC her. I want them to know that we want her to be involved because she was elected. So she needs to be part of these things in case, God forbid, you can't continue being there. Barbara will be completely lost. Right, so she needs to know what's happening. So Robert, let's talk this week at some point next week after Tuesday, and let's draft the letter to them, and also in CC Barbara as the main person on there, notify them we want her to be part of these meetings. You will be the person to speak mainly. You will be the person to communicate from the CEC to the working group, but Barbara needs to be present at these meetings, at least know what's happening.
Exactly.
I agree 100%.
Beautiful. Okay.
Good. Well, I just want to piggyback on Barbara, because I did send an email asking about communication amongst the members to be added onto the agenda. There was no response to that, but so that's one. And then when we had the meeting with Faith, I was blindsided. I didn't know that Elena was picked to work with Superintendent Dr. Pate about the back to school. So I just feel that a lot of things are done, and it's just done between a couple of members. and we are all a council. Each council member has one vote, and you can't, do anything without 6 votes, as we just saw. And I feel a lot of things are done without the consensus. And when it's about being a part of something, I think it needs to be a consensus, And I feel that this is not the first time it's happened. It's not. It's not. We've discussed this before. So I just would like to make sure moving forward as we embark on this new year, that we are transparent amongst each other.
I agree.
Okay, so in terms of the back to school committee and Elena being the person that I appointed, I was the person that was supposed to be on that meetings with Dr. Pate and her team. They haven't had a meeting as yet because it kept postponing it, I think, right, Elena? So yep. When they reached out to me to have that, I was the one to be there. I could go. So many of the meetings that I go to as the president, if I can go, I don't have to get a consensus from the whole committee, from the council, to who to choose. I can always send a delegate. So Barbara and I always talk to Barbara, you're going to go to the CCHS meetings. I'll say, I'm going to say, Erica, I can't go to this next meeting. Can you go to that meeting, please? So I can delegate who I want to go in my place, send a representative. I felt and I don't have to say why, but I'm going to say to you guys, I felt it was important to have.
But how is it just I mean, BB, I'm just trying, this is what I'm talking about. I mean, we're all members here. Whether it's a quick consensus of, hey, I have this meeting, I can't go to it, who would like to attend? It's about us getting an opportunity. That's right. What I'm trying to bring.
Totally. So when Sonia reached out to me, she asked me, hey, Vijay, you could come to this meeting. We would like you to join this meeting, or you could send a representative.
Correct.
Right? So the person who, since that was a back to school committee for the district, and we also have a back to school committee on our council, the chairperson, I felt was the right person to be on that committee. So I sent her on behalf of myself, that I chose to go. It could have been anybody.
We're a group, right? But then it's something you're making this decision on your own, and I'm just moving forward, because then it seems that this is not the only time that you made a decision on your own. And I'm just saying we each have a vote in something, and this is little. But if we don't nip things in the bud, then they continue to grow bigger. And that's
there'll be many times. And there'll be many times when I will have to send different people to different meetings, and I will choose who I send. And then that doesn't require consensus. That is, if I can't make it to a meeting of an equity or something, and I choose Ted because he's a chairperson, that's fine.
But it's a problem when you keep choosing the same person. I'm just being transparent.
That's great, but that's an attack on Elena. I'm not choosing Elena at all.
It's not an attack. How is that an attack? Why would you use a word as an attack? How am I attacking Elena?
I'm not choosing the one over and over again. That's not the case. This is the first time I've ever chosen Elena.
He's right there.
Barbara.
Right there. So
Barbara
I'm just
taking a comment.
Vijay, I wouldn't say that's an attack, and Elena, I would say
you're using the words that I did not use.
Okay, so Barbara is my first vice president, and Elena is the second vice president. When I can't go to a meeting, if it's a DLT meeting, I will call on Barbara. Barbara, can you please go to that meeting, please? I don't need consensus for that. I don't.
I think also for us to be impactful CEC, I think we need to rely on Vijay as a president to make certain decisions as well. Otherwise, we'll be in meetings all day. I mean, it's 10:39 right now, and we're still discussing things. So I am totally okay with delegating certain decisions to Vijay. I know in this situation, he did ask me to step in as a chair for that committee. And I said, sure.
This is not, we're talking about, not to cut you off, it's just about a communication. I'm just using that as an example.
Yeah, right.
Go on to listen.
I understand what you mean. No, I understand.
That's all I'm saying. This is not the first.
So what I would say is, Erica, thank you for bringing it to my attention.
Thank you.
I would like to have a call with you separately, a chat, and I would like you to give me feedback. Give me feedback, help me grow, give me an input. Please help me to do better. I welcome that feedback.
One small comment I'd like
thank you.
One small comment on this is that DOE tends to want to sort of like invest all the powers of the CEC in the president when that's actually just not how, that's not the actual structure of a CEC. A CEC is a voting body where we're all equal members. and the president has certain specially delegated things, but I think the DOE goes way too far and basically just wants to treat the president as the proxy of the CEC, and that creates a lot of this problem, I think. I do think that, you know, and especially if we're new, you could almost be under the impression that the president is the CEC because of the way that DOE treats the president, when that's just not how they should be dealing with us. They should be dealing with as a council.
I agree with you, Ted.
I agree with you, Ted, and I think that there's no I in team, and we are a team. We are a body together, 9, 10, or how many of us it is. And I feel like even though sometimes, yes, VJ, you're gonna be able to make decision. You're gonna make split decisions on your own that we won't have anything to do with. But at the same time, I think the whole council need to be looped in and what's going on.
Noted.
And not blindsided when we go into a meeting to hear, you know, this is what Erica is trying to say. That's what I gather from what she's saying. So
noted.
I'm defending her at this point, saying, yes, you're going to make decisions because there was an email that was sent out. And I was the one that pointed that out, that we need to trust you as our president. We voted you as our president, and we need to trust you and instill in you that you're doing a good job. But there are times when we are blindsided and don't know what's going on, and we go in a meeting and then we just hear this. And I feel like we are a team, we're a council, and we are made up of everybody, the president, vice president, the members, whomever, and we are all voted by the parents. And some of us have to, me being a PTA president, there's double duty that I have to do, because whatever is said on CEC, I have to take back to my parents. And sometimes if I don't know anything and I'm blindsided, I can't bring anything back to my constituents. So I understand that's where Erica is coming from.
Can I just add? Can I just add as well? I've had that experience occasionally too, where we feel a little bit blindsided, VJ, and I think that I support the idea of just you having a phone call with Erica, and because she's very articulate, can talk about exactly what's going on here.
Yeah, for sure.
That Barbara and I have had that similar experience, similar to Erica's.
Yeah, I mean, one point I could take, what I could fix right away is if I am called, and Ted is right, a lot of times, most of the times, for everything in the district, they reach out to me. I'm like, I can't go to all the meetings. It's not humanly possible. Right. So what I have, and Paula has mentioned this last time, I love to delegate. I do, because one person can't do all the work. So I definitely want to empower all of you. And I think what we have seen is there's I love the whole committee system, right? So one thing I think I can improve on is if, like, when Elena I called her that morning and say, hey, Elena, these meetings are going to happen. Can you go to it instead of me going to it? Yes, I could follow up with the whole council, say, hey, guys, today they reached out for a person to go to the meeting. I can't go. I am going to appoint Elena as the person to go in my place. Now, I think that should be okay. I don't think that's up for a vote, because then if everyone says, well, I want to be part of it, I want to be part of it, we just have to get a member there, and she happens to be the chairperson. So I feel like one avenue of improvement could be a follow-up email to the whole council saying, hey, this person is going to be going to this meeting going forward.
I have one
because you understand, hold on one second. Let me just say something, because you understand now you're explaining it was her filling in for you. But when we heard it on Face meeting check-in, it made it sound like she was appointed. It wasn't like if she was filling in for you. Because then it also, that's how it was said in the meeting. It was, Elena's working with the superintendent, and that meeting didn't happen, blah, 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 blah. But it wasn't, she was filling in. So the next meeting that you have, you're actually attending, correct?
If I want to, I can, but I am not going to. I think if Elena started going to the meetings and she's there already, she could continue, because she is the head of the back to school committee. Okay. And again, this is how I feel. Again, I trust each of you equally. Like, I don't have one person who will do better than the other person. It could be any of you. I just felt it was the right person would have been the person who was the chair of the back to school committee, only because she would inform the rest of her committee what's happening for the back to school. I think also the fact that they are doing so much of the work for the back to school committee, they will be good to influence decisions on the superintendent level, because she would bring your feedbacks also. That was the point. That was the, so if it didn't come off that way, that was the
It's
intention.
Okay.
That was the intention.
Yeah, and it's just like I said, letting us just following up and letting us
And I
know.
think that's fair. And again, pull me up. If that happens again, pull me up, say, hey, you did it again. Pull me up again. I am willing to listen, take feedback, and try to do better. Thank you.
I just have one more thing to say and then I'm done. And I agree with Ted, what Ted said, because even in tonight's meeting, Crystal is the AA. And if you notice everything, oh, we're going to send it to you, Mr. President. It wasn't said we're going to send it to the AA to put it up on the website. We're going to send it to the president. So there's a lot of pressure on you, VJ. And we, like I said, we trust you, but we just need that transparency amongst council members. So we, you know, nobody's jealous here, but we don't want to feel like we're being left out of certain things.
No worries. Fair enough. Fair enough. And like when they say they're going to send it to me, honestly, it's going to Crystal, okay? So FYI.
I know, but I'm saying Crystal wasn't, we didn't hear Crystal's name. They keep saying, Mr. President, we're going to send it to you, Mr. Ramjatan, and we understand. So I know what Ted is saying, and I know you're under a lot of pressure. And you know, if nobody else is your greatest fan, it's me. You know
No,
that.
I know. And
So
it's not, I don't see this, I see feedbacks as opportunities of growth, okay? I don't see feedbacks as criticism. Feedbacks are opportunities of growth. So when you give me a feedback, I'll give you my intention. However it came off to you or the other person, I have no control over that, but this was my intention, and I could build from that. So I welcome Erica's feedback and all of your input of how to make this better, because at the end of the day, I'm not the D20 council. We are the council.
Yeah, and so far we've been doing good. We hadn't been dysfunctional, and
we are amazing. We are a great group. We are a great group. We are a great group. We're growing stronger together.
Good night.
Good night,
Barbara. Everyone, and I'm going.
Are we good, guys?
All right.
Good night.
Okay, sorry. Last thing. Guys, sorry. Last thing. We send out the agenda the Thursday before the meeting. If you want to have agenda items added onto the calendar, please, you all have access to Crystal. All I'm asking for is to be CC'd, because I do sign off on Crystal's payroll hours of employment. So I need to know what she's working on, right? So please just send me, if you sending Crystal something, like Micah did for this whole resolution thing, CC me. I don't respond. It's just between you and Crystal. If I have to respond, I will. But send your agenda items, please, 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 before the agenda is made 1 week before. Because that Monday, starting before that Thursday, we start putting the agenda together, confirming speakers. And if we have a full list, then we have to bump something to the next month, because we can't have 6-hour-long meetings, right? Is that fair?
I must say everyone was CC'd on that email that Erica sent out. So if we didn't see it like myself, she did CC'd every member on that email.
I saw it.
Thank you all. Have a great night. Thank you all so much. And
Thank you,
everyone. Enjoy your evening.
See you at the special meeting.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Bye.
Thank you. Good meeting.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Good meeting. Congratulations.